Hello and welcome. We are looking at Isla, and is one of the chess.com bots. She's rated 1700, and after 51 moves, I did win playing the white pieces, and I'm going to go through the game and show you how I got here. I did struggle in the game. I made a handful of mistakes. We're going to take a look at those mistakes and see what happened, and there's just a lot of things in this game that I just did not see until afterwards when I analyzed it. So hopefully this will help you learn. Helps me learn. I still have a lot to learn. So, but if you're struggling with Isla 1700 on chess.com, the bot, maybe this video can help you. So, okay, the computer said I played at an 88.8% and Isla played at 74%. So let's get into it and see what happened. Okay, so just going through, and remember in the beginning, just try to control the center and develop your pieces. That's the get that arrow off there. Okay, just control the center and develop your pieces. That's the main thing. There's so many openings out there, it's hard to remember what's what. I would suggest just picking 2 or 3 and memorizing those and its variations. Some of the variations just turn into some of the other openings. They just have different names. I don't remember all the names. It's too much for me anyway. Okay, so trying to control the center here. You know, in this position, yeah, I should have went here. I mean, I owned it with the knight, and then I owned it with the queen. I could have got some better development, and honestly, I didn't see that in the game. I was trying to, get this freed up to own this diagonal to go wherever, and yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so anyway, I missed that. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, the computer says, I could have came here with the knight. It says this is an excellent move, but it wasn't the best move. And okay, and a lot of it's what you feel comfortable with. Okay, so here, I love to mess up my opponent's pawn structure. I think messing up pawn structure is something that's overlooked a lot of times, and it can pay dividends as the game goes on if you mess up your opponent's pawn structure. So I'm always looking for opportunities to do that. Okay, and I missed this. I should have pushed this pawn. I control it with my bishop. I control this square with my knight. I would have loved it if it would have took with the pawn, just to have an isolated triple set pawn there. That that would have been great, but I missed it in the game, so that's okay. That's okay. 1700 is a very respectable ELO, and it's one you have to pay attention to. As a matter of fact, I make several mistakes. Again, I keep missing this in the game. Sheesh. I don't know what my problem is. And so finally, Isla says, hey, if you're not going to take this, then I'll punish you for it. And that's what happened there. Okay, so now I have to retreat. So here, I just want to talk about this briefly. Computer says, I should have went here with my knight. Okay, yeah. I mean, the computer knows better than I do. I was afraid that, if I took here, then now my opponent has their pawn structure back. And I was trying to, a lot of times when you don't know what to do, like when I was in this situation, honestly, I didn't know what to do. Wasn't quite sure what to do. So I thought, well, I'll at least get this queen out. And the reason why I put her on a white square is because I'm missing my white squared bishop. So to help compensate for that, I wanted to develop her onto a white square. Something I always look to do. Maybe that'll help you in your games as well. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want that knight to come down here. So I pushed this pawn up, but yeah, computer says I should have brought the knight out here. And yeah, I mean, that would have been sweet. I think the future idea was for the knight to go here and threaten is I believe what the computer was after. So I didn't see that. I should have looked a little closely, but okay. Computer said I made an inaccuracy on pushing that pawn. But okay, so let's keep this going here. There's check. Okay, and now it's right back to where it started. I want to talk about that for just a second. So most games when they're evenly matched only last 42 moves. If you get a piece out and you bring it right back where you came from, it's like you're sacrificing a turn. And a 42 move game, one turn can make all the difference in the world. And if you're getting a piece out just to retreat it right back to where it was, you're just wasting your turn. So be careful about that. Okay, again, yeah, computer says, are you ever going to do this? So, okay. So I didn't really want to do that exchange, but I felt like at this point, look, my queen's under attack. Yeah, I'm going to do that exchange. Then my knight's going to be in trouble because it's going to take with a pawn. But the trade-off is my opponent now has 2 double-stacked pawns. Loving it, loving it. Okay. So, yeah, should have got that knight. I just thought, you take my knight, I'll take yours. I think this is a mistake because this pawn is in my territory. Folks, don't let this happen. And I totally just ignored it, and I said, well, I'll fight fire with fire. You take my knight, I'll take yours. This pawn causes me trouble here in a few moves, as you'll see. And, okay. So we do that, and hey, you know, look at this, and it's mate now. Isla at 1700 is not going to fall for that. And so I'm kind of messing around, trying to get this pawn up here. Look, I'm wasting too many moves on something that is not going to happen. Isla at 1700, folks, that's not going to happen. Okay, I should have known better. But there, I finally got my knight where the computer been wanting me to put it for a long time there. So, okay, and I still got to worry about this pawn. Yeah, you know, Isla probably should have tried to kick this. Anytime you get a piece or a pawn in your territory, your half of the board, yeah, try to get it out of there. Okay. And there's that pawn, causing me trouble. Okay, so my knight is in trouble now. So there we go. Computer says I should have got it out of trouble and just moved it. And yeah, I mean, the computer knows better than I do, but I just wanted to keep the hammer down and see what would happen. It's protected by the queen now. And I own all this file. So, you know, push the pawn, I could have done, you know, I could have retook with the queen or something. Okay, so let's get back to the game. I'm trying to get my queen out of there from protecting. So do that. Okay, and now I'm feeling pretty good because now my knight is protected by this pawn. Now I can move my queen. My queen, I want to do something big with my queen. I don't want to use my queen just to protect a knight. And that's these little things, you know, especially at 1700, people say, you know, well, I'm running into a wee spot of trouble. I can't beat a 1700 or whatever. A lot of times it's because of little things like this. Are you using your queen to protect a knight? My God, get something else going on. Get that queen working. You know, if you were a restaurant manager and you had your main chef there just, you know, cooking French fries or something, you'd be like, hey, do something more valuable. So there was, yeah, you know, this was still a good move. It does, I'm very happy with it. But for Isla, this was still a good move because, look, this, I was going to bring this rook over here and just really start hammering on this king. I was going to move my knight. It was going to be check. So there's some things happening there. But I'm just trying to control the center of the board still, especially the king sitting in that. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to clear this file where the king is. I want to own all these files out here where the king is. Absolutely. And as soon as the knight gets out of the way, I can own all that too. Okay. So now I'm up 4 points. And so Isla's wanting to do an exchange. I mean, let's just stop, take a look at this. So I have one minor officer. My opponent has one minor officer. Okay, let's look at our major officers. I've got 3 major officers. My opponent has 2 major officers. So I'm up. I'm up on pawns too. So yeah, I'll take this trade. Let's trade down. Usually in chess, I like to get ahead even just by a little bit in the mid game, and then at that point, I'm just looking to trade down, folks. That's it. That's my big secret. I try to, in the mid game, get up by something, a piece, a couple pawns that could probably promote, something like that. Then I just start trading down. And right here, you know, which piece do you want to lose? So there we are. So if you've got 2 officers, always be paid attention to these knights. If you've got 2 officers, here's Isla's got a minor piece and a major piece. And you see where a knight can hop out here and attack like that. Be thinking about it ahead of time. You know, get this bishop over here where it can be defended by the king, or, you know, something. But she's forced in a situation now where she's going to have to lose one of them. And so she should have came here, you know. You don't want to lose this rook. But I'll certainly take it. I need all the help I can get. I've got this problem down here. Okay, so now I really have this problem here. Okay, so I've at least cut off the king, or that was my thinking. And I start to get really nervous about this pawn down here. I see that I can take a free pawn, okay? But this side, I'm trying to evaluate what's my biggest problem right now. So that's kind of the key in chess, is what's my biggest problem that I have to deal with? And that these pawns don't pose much of a threat. The king's way over here. Isla has a dark squared bishop. I'm on the light squares. I always tell myself in this position, if I step on a dark square, be careful. Is there something where she could attack, something lined up with the king? So just something to be aware of. So I'm thinking about, now that I own this rank, I'm going to, you know, start cleaning the house in here. And I'm cutting off the king still too. So, and you know, that shuts down my big idea. So I go ahead and at least take this pawn. And I thought, you know, man, I should get this knight in the action. And I probably should have. Taking with the rook was okay, but I should have got the knight in the action. Okay, so anyway, now I'm thinking about, I want this bishop out of here. I got to do something with this pawn. And even if it means sacrificing something, I got to get this pawn out, or that pawn out of there. So here I'm trying to scare off that bishop. And I do, finally. Okay, a little bit of, you know, breathing room there. Okay. So now, with my knight here, after this situation was dealt with a little better, now I'm like, okay, I could breathe. Let's look at some other things. Well, this knight owns this square and this square. Hey, maybe I can get a queen here. And so that's what I try. And, you know, here it comes. And Isla says, well, I can't have that. Unfortunately for her, I do own that square. So, you know, there's that. So now these pawns make me so nervous, I'm about to do something that's a little squirrely. I'm going to sacrifice my knight to take care of these pawns because, you know, enough already. That could be a problem. So, all right. This pawn probably isn't going to be able to promote, but it is my last threat. So I feel like I should probably take care of that. Okay. Now, because the king was coming after my rook, I now have this pawn protecting this rook. So for the most part, I can just sit here all day and worry about these other little things here that were bothering me. Now, the king is cut off, so I can literally just sit there. I don't even have to think about this. I can put it out of my mind and keep going. Okay. And so now that I own this and I own this, I'm just going to keep like walking it up. I've got a box that's, you know, for the king. king has this half of the board. So I'm just going to keep closing now, you know, it's got less of the board to move around in. I'm just making the box smaller and smaller, and finally it's mate. So I hope that helps you. You can go to chess.com and check out the bots. I'm going through all of them, and I'm going to get up into the master level, and I've got to really sharpen my game. I think the masters start at 2200. The first time I beat a 2200 bot was, I don't know, at least a year ago, year and a half ago maybe, or something. So I've made too many mistakes, too many things I didn't see here. I've got to get this sharpened up here a little bit. So hopefully that helps. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.